Oklahoma softball gets the 2025 season underway on Thursday. What can we expect from the four-time defending national champions?
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Go download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase over at Gametime. I'm John Williams. You can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. Jay is still out this week. He'll be back next week, filling in, or not filling in, but covering for me, as I'm going to be out for the first half of next week, taking a little vacation R&R with my wife, but excited to bring you everything we can on Oklahoma athletics. We've been talking football. We're going to continue to talk football all off season, but softball is about to get underway, and the four-time defending national champion Oklahoma Sooners look to defend their crown once again, but it's going to be a very different looking Oklahoma Sooners team. No more Jada Coleman, no more TRA Jennings, no more Kinsey Hansen or Riley Boone. Kelly Maxwell is gone. Alyssa Brito is gone. Alina Torres is gone. We had Riley Ludlam for 1 year. She gone. So it's a very, very different team. But, Nicole May. Cannot fail to mention Nicole May. It's a very different team, but this is the Oklahoma Sooners that we're talking about. If you are concerned about their ability to continue to compete at a high level despite all of the losses, I hope your concerns are at least in the cautiously optimistic range of things. We've been a confident fan base for a very long time about this program, and I think there's reason to continue to be confident about what Oklahoma can do this year. You know, they come into the season as the number 3 team in the nation. They were voted number 3 in the SEC preseason poll. They only had 3, preseason All-Americans in Kasidia Pickering, Ella Parker, and Abby Dayton. The talent may not be as recognizable, but the talent is there. From the coaching staff to the roster, this is still a very talented team. So what can we expect out of Oklahoma? Well, expectations are to win and to continue to win big. I know a lot of people are thinking this could be a step back year for Oklahoma. And it very well could be. But that's not the expectation at Oklahoma. The expectation isn't that we're going to go into a season sitting here saying, hey, we're retooling. It's a rebuild year, blah, 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 blah. That's not what happens when you've won 8 national titles in the last 4 in a row. And you've got the best softball coach in the game. Is it a retool year? Yeah. Oklahoma had to go to the portal, had to make some significant additions. They had to make sure they had a significant recruiting class, and they ended up with the number 1 ranked recruiting class in the nation for the 2025 season. But still, you're Oklahoma. Go contend. They're going to be one of the favorites to make it to the Women's College World Series. They're going to be one of the favorites in the SEC. Are there talented teams that they're going to have to overcome? Absolutely. The SEC is stacked. They had all 13 of their programs make it to the NCAA tournament last year. In 2024, all 13. In 2025, they could very well get 15 programs into the NCAA tournament this year. The only program in the SEC that doesn't have a softball team is Vanderbilt right now. But they might want to get on the wagon because softball is going to be quite profitable for the SEC this year because, man, you have Florida, you have Texas, you have Oklahoma, you got Arkansas, you got Texas A&M, you've got LSU, you've got Alabama, a number of Tennessee. My gosh, Tennessee, you've got a number of really, really good programs in the SEC, and it's going to be must-watch TV every single weekend when we get into conference play. Oklahoma's going to have a chance to get off to a really, really good start. When you look at their schedule, I mean, they play just one Power 5 team in non-conference play. Power 4 team in non-conference play. That's Baylor. Scratch that. They'll play Kansas. later on in February as well. But that's it. You play 2 games against Kansas. You play a couple games against Baylor. And the rest of it is programs from lower level conferences. So Oklahoma's going to have a chance to get off to a fantastic start, but it may not tell us everything we need to know about this team until they get into SEC play. They'll open SEC play against South Carolina on March 7th at Love's Field for a 3-game series. Then they'll go to Fayetteville and play Arkansas for 3. That's going to be a test. Arkansas is a team that is projected to be an NCAA tournament team, same as Missouri after that. But then comes a little bit of a gauntlet. You got Tennessee, and then you've got your Bedlam matchup with Oklahoma State coming after the O'Connor Invitational. And then you play Alabama, Mississippi State, another projected tournament team, Texas, Florida. That's going to be an interesting go of it there toward the end of the season. But again, if you're the University of Oklahoma, you expect to be able to go in and win every single series. Are they going to go on a dominant, you're not going to lose any games in a season run? Probably not. But it's going to be a team that is going to be contending. And it starts with the lineup that Patty Gasso and JT Gasso and Jennifer Roach have assembled. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. I think there's going to be several players that break out this season for the Oklahoma Sooners. And the lineup might look a whole lot different, but I think it's going to be still very, very productive offensively. We'll talk about the lineup coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Looking for tickets for your next big event, whether it's a concert, a comedy show, or a sporting event, find the right ticket at the right price can be a headache, but with Gametime Picks, it's never been easier. Let me tell you how it works. With Gametime Picks, the app does all the hard work for you. It curates the best deals so you don't have to waste time searching through endless tickets. The seat view feature is a game changer. Before I even hit buy, I can see exactly what my seat will look like in the venue. It's so reassuring. And the best part, you're covered with Gametime's lowest price guarantee. If you find a better deal somewhere else, they'll refund 110% of the difference. Plus, your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time with easy cancellation options if something comes up. Ready to make your next event even better? Download Gametime, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. Let's look at what I think could be the lineup to start the season for the Oklahoma Sooners. There's one position that I really don't have any idea who's going to end up starting for them and being the more significant player. I think it'll probably be a platoon, but let's just run it down. I think leading off is going to be Abby Dayton. She led the Pac-12 in hitting. She had a great on-base percentage last year for Utah. Kind of fills in as the replacement for Jada Coleman. Can't really replace Jada Coleman. She's one of one. But Abby Dayton gives you a lot of the same things that Jada Coleman did. Abby Dayton has pop. She can get on base, and she's got good speed. Coming in the number 2 hole, we know Patty Gasso likes a lot of times to put her best hitter in that number 2 slot to make sure that they get more at-bats in a game. I think it's going to be Ella Parker. I would slide Ella Parker right there at the number 2. If you can get Abby Dayton on base in front of Ella Parker, that gives her a chance for a RBI situation in a lot of circumstances, because Ella Parker, she's got a lot of pop. She can hit for power. She can hit to all fields, and she'll have a chance to drive in Abby Dayton. Coming up, I think Ilana Agbayani, another player that hit for a good average last year for BYU. She comes in. I think she'll probably be playing second base for the Sooners, but a leader, a veteran, someone who's played a lot of softball. You can put her in the top of the lineup, hit her right behind Abby Dayton, Ella Parker, and she could be somebody that drives in some runs for the Sooners. Ella Parker, if she gets on base, a lot of times they like to use a pinch runner for her, and you put some speed on in front of Ilana Agbayani, and you get some RBI potential there, because Ilana, she's a extra base hit machine. She can get on base, and she can also drive in some runs. I think Kasidia Pickering is probably your cleanup hitter. Good power, good average. She hit like 360 last year, 360, 380, something like that last year, but has the ability to come in the clutch as well. You want to put players in front of her that can get on base. She's going to have a good chance to put up some big numbers this year. And this one I had a little internal debate on. Initially, I thought Sydney Sanders, okay, another player with a lot of pop, a lot of power, but her average kind of dipped last year. Need to see a resurgent season from her, but I think she has a chance to be one of Oklahoma's comeback players. Like, this is somebody who was a freshman player of the year back at Arizona State, and she's had some good seasons, some good moments for the Oklahoma Sooners, but hasn't really put together the type of season that she had with the Sun Devils back in 2022, I guess. Man, that was forever ago. But I think this could be a year where, hey, listen, I know there's going to be a little bit more pressure on her because she's one of the few seniors on this team. But after last year, pressure may be off. Just go play. Just go hit. And, hit with power. Hit for an average. Get on base. But I'm going to go with Isabella Emmerling, the North Carolina transfer, who's likely going to be your starting catcher. 14 home runs, 53 RBIs, hit for a decent average last year. I think putting her behind Kasidia Pickering just gives you more pop. If you go Pickering, Emmerling, Sanders, I think that's a lot of power, 3 hitters in a row, but you're putting your better hitters for average kind of closer to the top of your lineup and giving them a chance to make some significant noise, keep passing the bat, and make some things happen. After Isabella Emmerling at catcher, again, Sydney Sanders, and then who is a lot of people's breakout star for 2025, that's Nellie McEnroe Marinas, was injured all of 2024, sat out, and this year is looking like she might be Oklahoma's starting third baseman. She's another player that hits for power. She is able to drive the ball to all fields, and I'm curious to see how she looks and how she comes back from the injury that she suffered last year that kept her out. But if you can get her going and she can be an everyday third baseman for you to replace Alyssa Brito, that answers kind of one of the biggest questions in your lineup. The other big questions that come at shortstop and at right field. And I think shortstop will probably be a platoon situation with several of your young players, your freshmen that are going to be in the lineup. Where they go, who knows? I think you could go a number of directions, but shortstop is going to be a question. And I don't know if we'll ever really have an answer. I think they might platoon it similar to what they did last year, unless somebody just is by far and away the best option at that position. So, you could be looking at, Sydney Barker, you could be looking at Gabby Garcia, Katie Lee McKay. Those could be options for you at infield. They could use Ailana Agbani at shortstop. So you're going to have some really intriguing options. It's just a matter of, can the freshmen rise to the occasion? Can they step into an everyday role and be an impact player for the Oklahoma Sooners lineup? You can't just take up a spot in the lineup and not produce. But they've got some really good players that came in that 2025 recruiting class that have the ability to produce and be big time players at this level. Now it's just a matter of going and showing it. And then at right field, I'm going to go with Tia Malloy. Tia Malloy, the daughter of Lawyer Malloy, the former New England Patriots safety, sister of Kiki Malloy, the Tennessee softball star. I think she's just going to be ready to go. She knows what it takes to compete at the highest level. She's watched her sister do it for years now, and she's going to be ready to go. She's going to be somebody that's able to come in and provide a significant bat in the lineup and play a really good defensive right field for the Sooners. I mean, you might see her in left field. It could be Kasidia Pickering in right. It could be Tia Malloy in right, or vice versa. We'll see what Patty Gasso, JT Gasso, and Jennifer Rocha do there. And then at pitcher, I think Oklahoma could go any number of directions. You could go with Kirsten Deal, who's kind of the veteran of the program at this point in the pitching staff, to get the first start. You could go with Sam Landry. You could go with Audrey Lowry, who is one of the young up-and-coming stars in this freshman class. You could also end up going with the Campbell transfer, Isabella Smith. I mean, you've got some really intriguing options. Landry and Smith are going to have to make that jump to the Oklahoma SEC level, but they've got the talent, they've got the skills to be able to do it. It's just a matter of, I think it's going to be matchups. Whichever matchup Patty Gasso and Jennifer Rocha believe is going to be the best one for their pitching staff, that's the one they're going to go with. And Patty Gasso mentioned that they're going to be throwing a lot of pitchers out there and probably playing the Texas Tech game where they're changing pitchers every inning or every several at bats to just keep teams off balance and keep them guessing. It's going to be a really interesting approach, and I'll be fascinated to see how it plays out and how it works out and who ends up getting the most innings for this team. But that's, if there's one place that might be the most significant question mark for the Sooners, it's who emerges as their go-to pitcher. When they need a big inning, a big out, who's going to be that person that steps up and stands out? The Oklahoma Sooners get started in Southern California with a 4-day trip, Thursday to Sunday, where they'll play 6 games in Southern California, starting off at San Diego State, where they'll play Cal State Northridge and San Diego State on Thursday evening in a doubleheader. You'll be able to watch the first game against Cal State Northridge on Soonersports.com/watch. And then the San Diego State game will be on the Mountain West Network, which I think you'll be able to stream on their website as well. It's going to be a fun weekend. You'll be able to see some games on ESPN Plus, and Oklahoma is going to be on ESPN Plus, SEC Network Plus all season long. We'll continue to talk about Oklahoma softball this season. It's going to be a big year. I think Oklahoma is going to have a chance to be very, very competitive and be one of the best teams in the nation once again, find themselves in Oklahoma City for the Women's College World Series and have a chance to win their 5th straight national title. But that's going to do it for this bonus edition of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. But until next time, I'm John Williams, Boomer Sooner.